I'm a parent of a 7-year-old boy who is absolutely amazing, but I have some concerns. If you are a parent of a 7-year-old boy, or if you work with 7-year-old boys, I am sure that you have concerns as well. So let's see what this person has to say. We've been having a really tough time managing our emotions lately. We get so upset and frustrated, and sometimes we just can't control it. How do we stop ourselves from getting so angry and emotional? I don't know that I'm actually going to answer your question because of the way that the question was written. And there's nothing wrong with the way that the question was written. I just want to bring something to your attention. Let me read this to you again. We've been having a really tough time managing our emotions lately. We get so upset and frustrated, and sometimes we just can't control it. How do we stop ourselves from getting so angry and emotional? This is something that I actually see happen all the time. When I am talking with parents, or when parents write questions into me, or when I'm having a phone call with a parent or a teacher, they want to collaborate with their child. And I think that that's what this question is asking about as well, is wanting to collaborate with your child and make sure that you know that your child knows that you are there with them and that you are there for them. The problem is the language here is we and our, when it's really the child. I'm not sure if you got to see last week's episode where I talked about parent stress, but parent stress has now been identified by the Surgeon General as a real mental health crisis. And I think that this is part of that stress. If you look at this language, it's all we and our, when really it's the child. It's the child's emotions, and the child is having difficulty regulating themselves, and the child is getting upset and frustrated. And it's important that, yes, we use language to let the child know that we are there with them, but we also need to let them know that they are separate from us. When you are using language like we and our, when really it's the child, that enmeshes you into the child and enmeshes the child into you, and it's hard to separate things, and things become personal that aren't personal, and things become overwhelming that aren't really yours to deal with, and it becomes to manage your child's emotions rather than helping your child learn how to manage their emotions. I'd really, rather than answer your question about how to stop a child from getting so angry and emotional, I'd really encourage you to separate yourself from your child, to really let your child know that, yes, they are having a tough time and they are feeling angry, or they are feeling sad or scared or upset or overwhelmed or whatever the emotion might be. But it's not you feeling that emotion, and it's not your problem to manage that emotion. It's up to them to manage that emotion, and you will be there with them, but it's not we are having a tough time controlling our emotions. It's they are having a tough time controlling their emotions, and I would like to know how to support them through that process. I know it might seem like something that's pretty trivial to discuss, but it's really important that we separate ourselves from our children or from the children that we work with, because they need to have autonomy. They need to know that they are in charge of themselves, and that we are in charge of ourselves, and that we cannot be in control or in charge of the children in our lives. As much as we want to help them and support them and be there for them and love them and care for them and do everything we can to make sure that they are feeling supported and loved and cared for, they're still separate from us. And when that becomes distorted, when it starts to become this we and our, when really it's them and they and theirs, then it starts to become our burden to carry, and we feel like we have to control children. But remember, it's not about trying to control children. It's about helping children learn to control themselves. So that's what I'd really encourage you to do is when your child is having a tough time or when they are feeling frustrated or when they are feeling angry or sad or scared, use the language, you are feeling angry, you are feeling scared, you are feeling upset. I don't mean to do it like that. That was a mean way to do it. But if it's, hey, I can tell you are feeling angry right now and you are having a tough time, rather than, I know we are having a tough time right now. You're not having a tough time. They're the one having the tough time. And you can empathize with them and you can support them and you can be there for them, but you cannot control them. And that language just distorts that. It muddies that. Even in our minds, the words we use often matter. It's not that every single word every single time is a make or break moment. But when you're using this collaborative language, when you're really talking about the child and you use that language repeatedly, what that tells me is that you feel very enmeshed with your child, and that a lot of times will cause you to feel like your child's emotions or your child's emotional response is your responsibility. And it's not. It's their responsibility. And we can help them, care for them, and support them to help them make positive decisions with their emotions, but we can't control them for them. So I'd encourage you, if you are a parent, teacher, caregiver, use that separated language where the child knows, yes, you are there with them and for them and you're on their team and you are cheering them on, but they are in control of themselves. It's not you and it's not your problem. It's theirs and you'll help them, but it's theirs to deal with and handle. Because when we use that enmeshed language, another message that sends to the child is that they need us and that they can't do it without us. And the whole point is to try to set them up for success, so they need us less and less as time goes on. Watch the language that you're using. Make sure that you are using the proper language so that your child understands they are separate from you and they are in control of themselves. Hopefully that gives just a little bit. And if you are looking for specific tips, techniques, thoughts, suggestions on how to help children manage their emotions effectively, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@MrStuTV. There's all sorts of things there that can be helpful with just helping children be able to manage their emotions effectively. Thanks so much for writing in.